8 days to the conduct of the next year's election, so get your PVCs in readiness to vote in the elections. Today on the program, CSO group tell military chiefs insecurity still high as bandits attack community, kill 1, abduct 45 in Kaduna. And later on the show, Lagos police arrest officer for killing pregnant Christmas Day as IGP plans rules of engagement change. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Bolaji Tunji. Journalist Hangout starts now. Our petrol shortage has persisted across the country as depots and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria, DAPMAN, sells the product at 215 naira per litre to the marketers. This is an excess of 67 naira per litre or 31% hike when compared to 148 naira per litre being charged at the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Well, meanwhile, the independent marketers that patronize the private depots sell the product more than 220 naira per litre, while the major oil marketers... Let's get your thoughts first on this. Now, what's your perspective rather on this issue? Even as we understand that the situation is affecting the lives of Nigerians in different ways at the moment.
Yes, this has been a very painful Christmas for our people, because for some of them on Christmas Day they were even busy looking for fuel. That's the time when you should be relaxed in your home with your family, take them out and all that. But if fuel scarcity gets in the way, how do you then take your family out for celebration? How do you sit in your for vehicles alone that will need petrol desperately? People can't afford to sleep in darkness. So you need to power your generators amidst the inability of federal authorities to provide regular power supply across the country. So you need to power your generators with petrol or diesel, as the case may be, and then you need to buy fuel to put in your car so that you can run around, you can hustle.
And talking about people, moving around, I understand the price of transport has gone, if not more than 100%. For those of us who are used to travel outside Lagos, NNPC stations is selling for 148. How can this margin be breached? How can we resolve this?
There is no way in a situation of scarcity that you can bridge this gap. All of us can't buy at the NNPC retail outlets because the queues are endless, and some people even get beaten. In the course of trying to buy fuel, your car could be damaged. So many Nigerians can't put themselves through all that pain. In any case, how many NNPC retail outlets are there? The bulk of the filling stations we have in our country belong to the independent marketers. IPMAN. Major marketers do not account for just a fraction, the local governments and all that. You see major marketers largely in the urban centers, and the bulk of our people live in rural areas. My dad was telling me that they sold petrol for as high as 350 per litre in my state. That is killing. And we were leaving the office the other day. I looked at my petrol gauge. I saw that it had gone down. So a filling station was open. I thought they were selling. In fact, I was happy that there were not many vehicles. So I drove in. That's the filling station on this expressway, the one with the eatery attached to it. As we drove in, 3 guys walked up to us and said, do you want to buy a fuel? I said, yes, that's why I parked there. And the next thing they told me that I should bring 12,000 naira for 30 liters. I said, is it black market? Is it black market that you want to sell to me? 12,000 naira for 30 liters? I said, what's going on? The guy said I should wait. He wanted to go and bring the fuel. I did the maths in my head. As poor as I am in mathematics, I knew that was not good enough for me.
So what did you arrive at?
I drove off.
No, that's about 400 naira per liter.
Oh, okay. So why should I buy fuel at 400 naira per liter? I just drove off. I drove off. The next day, my wife was troubling me that I should buy fuel. They can't bear to sleep in darkness. I should buy fuel. I eventually bought it at 250 per liter near my house. So majority of us now buy at 250 per liter because if the depots are selling
220
at 220, the bulk of our people go to those depot owners to buy. Some of those depot owners also have retail outlets. You know, a lot of them, they have retail outlets of their own. Like that woman, that popular woman.
Movers?
Yes, she's a depot owner. She has retail outlets.
No, she's fair. She's better than others.
She's not as greedy as others.
At 180.
You know, she's not as greedy as others. That's one thing. She's been consistent.
Very consistent.
You know, when they have petrol, she sells.
Yeah.
Others will rather pretend like they don't have so that they can make us suffer. I mean, it just looks like no one is in charge, and a country that has this resource in abundance, we shouldn't be going through all this pain.
Talking about those in charge, Bolaji, from what PKU has said, we have the NNPC, who is solely mandated to ensure this is available for all Nigerians. But then again, we have some industry experts who are recommending that some far-reaching reforms in the sector should be implemented. Talking about the downstream sector, where we had a passage of the Petroleum Industry Act, and this was meant to assuage problems like this. But why are we still in this situation?
Well, it's rather unfortunate that we are still experiencing this. And if you recall, this is a persistent problem, especially around period of celebration like this, during Christmas. It's always been like that over the years. And an administration, a government that is on top of its game is supposed to have been able to look at the possibility that this kind of thing will occur again and start making plans to avert it. Unfortunately, this is not the case, and that is why I agree with what Jide said, that it doesn't look as if someone is in charge. As far back as November, IPMA people have actually told us that there will be this problem because at the rate at which they were not getting supplies from NNPC, and they were going to third parties to pick fuel. And it was over 200. At that time, I think it was 205, and now it's about 200 now, 220 or thereabout now. Now they have to put the transportation cost there. By the time it gets to them, and that's about 13 naira. That's what they said. So if with 13 naira plus 220, that's 235 or so. You know, so they have to make a profit too. I have bought fuel at 275 per liter in Ibadan. Yes. In fact, when I was coming, I bought fuel at 270 per liter. I'm telling you, the only place where they sell at retail price, the normal price, is when you go to the NNP's depot, which is there's always a very long queue, and Bovas sell at 180. But in another place, 270, 275. In fact, there was one I went to, and they told me, please, Oga, when they said 275, I said, I bought it 250 somewhere. I want to go there. They said, Oga, please. They started begging me. They started begging me to buy. You know, the way they were begging, I said, okay, put 10 liters, but I'm not going to buy more than 10 liters. Let me go to, you know, it's so unfortunate. And I don't know how we are going to resolve this matter. The government needs to take charge. We've been having this flip-flopping from the government that, subsidy will be removed, subsidy will not be removed. Presently, subsidy is still there, isn't it? So if subsidy is still there today and we are buying at this amount, what is going to be the price when subsidy is eventually removed? There's a problem in this country, and I think the government should tackle it.
Indeed, let the government do the needful, because people need to have access to petrol and to energy. Well, let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where in the face of growing insecurity across the country, especially kidnapping, banditry, terrorism, separatist agitations, civil society organization and the security consulting organizations have cautioned the Chief Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, and other service chiefs against using false narratives on the insecurity ravaging the country. Now, the group's advice came in the reaction to last week's claims by a civil society organization, a national coalition of concerned citizens on peace and security, that the nation's security situation had greatly improved, even as it thanked the military high command for restoring peace in the country. The group insisted that insecurity was still rife in the country and that the minimum requirement was security agencies to up their game. Now, in the midst of this, Babajide, when we see things like this insecurity challenge still facing us, we are yet to have, will I say, a total eradication of this issue. But what makes it difficult? Why are we still in this mess? Is it the case of not having the right personnel or the security equipment to, tackle the situation? What do you think is responsible for this high rate of insecurity in the country?
Well, there is not one problem responsible for what we are going through.
Right.
There are all kinds of problems that we need to deal with. We've said repeatedly that we do not have enough personnel. And the truth is, there are so many ungoverned spaces in our country. So a country that does not have enough soldiers, does not have enough policemen, recruitment into the armed forces were frustrated for years, didn't happen, and every year people get retired. I was reading the other day about soldiers that were retired. Some soldiers, once they get to the rank of Major General, they know they are going. No matter how young, virile, and still agile they are. Yet, we are not recruiting enough into the armed forces. Policemen get killed in action. Policemen retire. Policemen are dismissed for irresponsible behavior. We are not, the rate at which this, the rate of steady recruitment into the police, they've been arguing amongst themselves now. The Police Service Commission and the IGP's office about who has the mandate to recruit into the force. They've been arguing, they took themselves to court. And it's the Nigerian people that will suffer as a result of this. We have got to bring in more people into the armed forces. I have suggested in the past that even instead of simply creating a multiplicity of security organizations, we can beef up the police. Beef up the police, improve their numbers, provide them with the weapons that they need. Look, if the police have sufficient APCs, they can do some of what the soldiers are doing. We've seen a policeman, the head of the mobile force, police mobile force in Borno State, capture Boko Haram fighters, seized their weapons, released soldiers who are in their custody. Did you hear me? Soldiers in the custody of Boko Haram, he released them. And what did he have? The weapons, especially the armor personnel carrier, because it provides you that protection of thick armor. So small arms cannot penetrate it, whereas you have the latitude to fire at the enemy. The enemy cannot penetrate the thick armor with the they are carrying, especially the rifles and all that. So he was able to deal with these guys. If the police is provided with the kind of weapons that they need, because what we are bringing soldiers to come and do, ideally, it shouldn't be the work of soldiers. If we provide the police with the equipment that they need, the helicopters, the reconnaissance aircraft that they need, because they should be able to also monitor our country, identify dark spots and all that, and then send their men to take care of the situation. If they have enough helicopters that they can use, provide the marine police with the speedboats fitted with gunners and all that they can use. If we generally improve the quality and quantity of equipment at the disposal of the police, I believe that the police can do better.
Right.
The same is also the army. You need to provide them with all that they need. The Air Force, you need to provide them with all that they need. I've spoken before about how other countries are doing this. Other countries are using drones. There are drones now that can stay airborne for a whole month.
A whole year, even.
They work on solar. They are just there helping you to comb the whole environment. There are some countries already using it. Some countries in Southeast Asia, that's what they use. It's just solar. That way you save money. And the drones don't make noise. Unlike these attack helicopters and fighter jets that we use. Even before they get close to where the enemy is, the noise alone, if the noise of a is coming, they start running. You sheer noise of some of this our equipment. So, but the drones will not announce that it is coming until it gets really close and delivers its weapons. So there's a lot that we can do, even in terms of training. It's not just one thing that we will need to do that will solve this problem.
Right.
You know? But I know that we really need to increase the numbers of our troops, because sometimes you take care of an area, you need to put troops there, at least for the foreseeable future. But if you don't have enough troops, you keep moving them around. That's what is happening in the Northeast. I know some communities in the Northeast where the army had captured up to 3 times. You go back there again to go and fight them, defeat them, hold the place for some time, and then when they are back, because the place is strategic to them, they will still come back.
So, Bolaji, you know, from what Babajide has said, indeed, we need to do a lot more, you know, in terms of policing our citizens, if we're to ensure that everyone is safe in our country. But then again, this bears the mind of state police, community policing. If we're to go by what Babajide has said, should we also consider state police so that we have enough personnel that would man stations or communities? For instance, like I understand that there was a community in Kaduna that had about 45 people abducted in a go, and all because they were far from the city center. So if we have state police in this regard, perhaps this could be contained. What do you think?
Yeah, the issue of state police has been on the front burner for a long time. We have discussed it, and issues have been raised concerning it, the good and the bad aspect of it. There have been fears concerning it. But I think we should look at the positive side of it. Like we rightly noted, if you have the state police, because they are part of that community, they are likely to know who the perpetrators of some of these crimes are. It is something that we need to reconsider. But apart from that, the issue of insecurity in the country, I was talking to a security expert before I got here. I always discuss with this guy occasionally like that, and he was telling me that, look, let me tell you, this insecurity, the Nigerian police and the Nigerian army, as presently constituted, has the capacity to eradicate this problem for us. He said they have satellite imagery that covers the entire country, that they can pinpoint where some of these people are. It's not as if that they are going to just get it. They already have it. He said they already have it. He's still a serving person. He said we already have it. He said apart from that, we have drones that we are talking. He said the only problem with our drones is that they are not harmed, but that we have the drones. And then apart from the drones that we have, he said, you know, maybe if you want to harm it, you know, the drones.
The Air Force has the ones that are-
Exactly. Okay. Now we have the drones, and then you can also look at the telephone that they use. You can always track some
I
of
don't
this.
even know why. What's the essence of NIN? If at the end of the day,
Exactly. You
these
can,
boys are still negotiating with phones.
with phones.
Negotiating
So
for.
you see, his conclusion was that we are really not ready to tackle this problem holistically, and I want to agree with him. If you have all this, because when you are fighting some of these battles, you don't. It's about using technology.
Right.
And technology is very important. It's not as if we don't have these things. And he said something. He said religion is also part of it. And apart from that, he said, "Look, my brother, with all this issue of abduction they are talking about, it is only because we have the social media that we are now hearing abduction all over the place. That it had always been something that was rampant in the north before now. It's only because because all these mines, they take people there, you just come and gather people and, you know, take them there to go and do all this mining and all those things. So, but because of the advent of social media, that's why everybody say, this, you know, you recall in the 80s, 1982, when this man was the IGP, Sunday Adewusi, I don't know, the police, we had a very sound police. Yes, we went there. They routed these people, and that was it. That time, whatever, they're using hot water, all different things, well equipped. Yes, but today, what's happening to the police?
They still have water cannon here in Lagos.
Okay.
The thing is, those equipment are not sufficient.
Lagos
Lagos has invested so much in the police, spent billions of naira on the police. Sometimes I even ask, without the state government buying equipment for the police, where would the police be?
And that's why we have those problems in other states. Because those states cannot match the capacity of Lagos states.
Right.
And that's why we have those
Lagos has
problems.
spent billions of naira.
Yes.
There was one day they showcased equipment that they bought in excess of 3-4 billion just for the police. And I'm like, what? Even for the marine police, they bought them boats.
Gunboats.
They bought helicopters for the air police.
So what are we now talking about? What if the state is doing that? So what is it? If a state can... Are you saying that if Lagos State wants anything from the police today, they won't do it for them?
Yeah.
They won't get it. They will.
The solution we need to do is to adopt.
We need to look at
Even
that.
more and more people now who oppose it in the past, they are now saying that, look, this thing is inevitable. And some people like the Kaduna governor is one of the apostles of state police now. That was not the case some years back.
Right.
People are now saying that the federally run policing system that we have cannot solve these problems. We've got to decentralize the police, you know, let states be in position to protect themselves. And states that have the capacity to spend this kind of money on the police, if they had their own police, I'm confident that they will be able to do
better.
even much more, you know.
Right. All right, you're still on to journalist.
My brother, my sister, una dey there? Listen make I clear una well. To win election, no be only say your vote na im plenty pass o. Before person fit win election for we country, the person must win 25% of vote for 2/3 of state plus the FCT for Nigeria. That one na for president. And governor must win the same thing for all local government area for the state. Na so our constitution put am o, and na so all our presido take become presido. All our governors na the same way dem take win. So therefore, my people, our country big no be small o, and we get different language, different religion, ethnic group nko. That one sef dey nyafu. Na why nobody fit think say if you don get north vote, abi south vote, abi east or west vote, e don do. Na lie o, except you collect vote from all over the country, you just dey bobo yourself. Make una tell everybody, make everybody for know now. Make you no for cause fight tomorrow. Na Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, bring on this message.
Nigeria na we country, APC na the party, na one man be a choice. Nigeria na we country, APC na the party, na one man be a choice. Who be the president we need? Who be the president we go vote?
People of Nigeria don't talk, oh. Them say na Asiwaju Bola Tinubu them want as president of Nigeria.
Our country people get many reasons we make them all agree say na Asiwaju Bola Tinubu them choose for this president election.
Yes, oh. Bola Tinubu na man wey sabi. Anything wey him put in hand, he dey work wella.
He do better work for Lagos State when he be governor. Till today, Lagos people still they enjoy from all the better things wey Jaburata for Lagos. People of Nigeria, he good to make we vote for who sabi.
As it come be so, make we all come out for election day and vote Bola Ahmed Tinubu as
Senator Kashim Shettima as the vice president. Vote APC, the party with broom.
Who be the president? We go vote Bola Tinubu.
We also, in 2016, launched a group graduate and youth empowerment program within the River Basin Development Authorities. So far, 361 graduates and youths have been trained and empowered. I'll show you the picture. Look at some of them. Once they are trained, they are also given some starter packs. Some of them are given land within the River Basin where available for them to be able to work with. We're also doing the mainstreaming of integrated river basin management principles within the river basin.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Make life comfortable. Wellness is key, and we're putting this place that will help people to, keep up on their health where they could burn their fat. And the timeline for this project is estimated to start and end within 18 months. But however, it starts in phases. The first phase is to get this place secured and gated, which is done.
Mowe is a growing city, and if you are very, very smart, then you realize that the Lagos-Ibadan expressway that is being developed is going to throw Mowe open furthermore.
People that have gone ahead of us have great investment here. And even way in the 90s, even before we thought about coming here. So I think it's a good idea, Iderade coming here.
Welcome back. You're still on to Journalist. Now, the Lagos State Police Command yesterday arrested an assistant superintendent of police known as Ayuba, attached to the Aja division for killing a pregnant lawyer, Mrs. Bolanle Rahim, on Christmas Day in Aja. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu condemned the shooting and killing of the lawyer. Sanwo-Olu pledged the state government's full cooperation with the relevant authorities to ensure speedy justice in the matter. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, said Ayuba's unprofessional act didn't betray the Nigerian police standard operating procedure and core values. Joining me now via... All right, I understand we do not have our guests, but let's quickly have this discussions here in the studio with my guests, Babajide and Bolaji. But, looking at the situation, Babajide, we understand the Nigerian police has condemned this situation, saying it is against the standard operating procedures and rules of engagement. What's your take on this first off, before we get into the other perspective on this matter?
This idea of simply coming out to say we condemn what has happened, we are going to investigate, it's already tiring. Honestly, it's really tiring. We want to see concrete steps taken that will put an end to this madness. The police in our country appear to think that because they are carrying a gun, that they are superior to everyone. I mean, this was what the NSAS protest sought to
fight against,
address before it was hijacked by some never-do-wells and other people. Some of us supported NSAS, and we will never regret supporting NSAS because we wanted that problem addressed. I still remember what the Vice President said. He said he saw some of the videos of police brutality and that he didn't know that it was that bad. The President also said, we have heard you loud and clear. We will address this problem. And he moved to quickly dismantle SARS. And SARS would have been a real watershed for us, if not for some of the boys and girls who are already drunken with imaginary power and then messed up a good cause. They messed it up. We told them it was time to stop blocking the roads. Even if you block the road, leave a small part for people. People could be in distress. They didn't listen. Agitation became nonsensical. Today, when you talk about NSAS, people remember the Lagos buses that were burnt. We set the state back by more than 10 billion. People remember all the other nasty things that happened, the murder in cold blood of innocent people. But in the early hours of the protest, Nigerians could see why that protest had to happen. It was necessary to draw attention for some of those who didn't see that, who didn't think the protest was necessary, is because they had never been victims of police brutality or maybe their relations. If you lose a loved one, look at this woman, 8 years. 8 years looking for the fruit of the womb. And then she was pregnant by 7 months. I mean, for 7 months. Then a good-for-nothing policeman just opened fire on her, struck her in the chest. Anyone who has seen what police brutality looks like would stand in the front and say, look, this thing has to happen. My worry is that at the rate that these people are going, one day there will be another NSAS protest. Because people can't stand. Just within the last few days, this is not the first person that they've killed in Lagos, even in the same area. What's going on? We've talked about the kind of people being recruited into the police. Some of these guys do not have the temperament to carry a gun. And then you just put a gun in their hands. You put a gun in the hands of an idiot. What do you expect him to do with it?
Balaji, let's have
this is what we have. This is what is happening.
The situation can be really emotional for me.
Yeah,
police brutality.
Very, 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 very unfortunate and stands condemnable. Well, you see, we are always condemning things like this without really finding a final solution to such a problem. I wonder the way the husband, the family of this lady will be feeling now, today, on the 25th of December, killed like that, coming from church.
In their presence.
Yeah, in their presence. What the trauma, the alarm they had is a child in the vehicle too. The trauma that child will be facing.
They had nephews, they had nieces,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah, inside the vehicle. You see, and from what I gathered, like this guy, Mr. Macaroni, I don't know where you know, he was saying that the policeman that killed someone, there was another person that was killed about 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
from that
area.
Station. You know, so you see, when the IGP is not telling us that there will be a new rule of please. Are they saying we don't have a rule of engagement before?
No, they have to change it. The former police boss, you know, sometimes I think the former IG came to Lagos. There was an incident in which I think it was a girl that was killed.
That was killed, yes.
And then he came to Lagos. Before that, there was another incident in which somebody went to a drunken policeman in this, what do we call it, where they watch football, viewing center. Just killed a boy. I think that boy was a twin or something, you know. Then the IG was forced to come down here and say, see, we are going to be giving them these laser guns. So
stun
that
guns.
Stun guns. Stun guns. We are going to be giving them. We won't be giving them live bullets. This and that, because a policeman just checking vehicles and all that. Why don't you have live ammunition? Even a country like Ghana. You hardly see long rifles.
No. Even Benin Republic there.
Where are you going to see long
when
rifles?
I went to Benin Republic, they blow whistle.
Where you going to see long rifles?
All right, let me hold your thoughts, but I understand our guest is on live. Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, good to have you on the program this evening. So first off, let's have your perspective on this situation and how do you think this matter can be addressed?
Thank you very much and good evening.
Good evening.
Well, again, this is another sad incident
Yeah, good evening.
And to me, you know, it looks like it is high time we look at the type of weapons handling and rules of engagement training that we give our policemen. And in fact, let's do a holistic approach. Not only policemen, any security agency in Nigeria that is given the right to carry arms for the purpose of protecting citizens should be given adequate training. And here, I think what we are missing, luckily, police, you know, senior officers also talking about rules of engagement. This is not the first time that I have been emphasizing on rules of engagement. 2020, when a detail attached to the Speaker of the House of Representatives shot somebody at Eagle Square, I think it also adds to this, and so many other incidents of our either policemen or other security agencies indiscriminately shooting. Now, how do we address this? The research I carried out honestly is that we mouth rules of engagement, but we really do not train our security personnel or.
Oh dear, seems to be having a challenge with group captains. Okay, go ahead.
In 2017, the investigated issue of compliance with rules of engagement. At that committee sitting, I think it was revealed that really there is little or no rules of engagement training. But whenever it happens, whatever the security agency involved, they will say we use the rules of engagement. A careful analysis, a careful investigation will find that we only mouth these terms, but we really do not give rules of engagement training. What is simply rules of engagement? Rules of engagement training tells whether he's a soldier, a DSS officer, a police officer, a civil defense officer, when should I shoot, when should I not shoot? If you're a law enforcement officer, the rules are very clear. Even though you are given a rifle for a law enforcement function, as opposed to war fighting function, the use of your weapon is a last resort.
Yes.
It's a last resort.
Yes.
A policeman, like in this case, who has served 23 years, you should expect him. He is well trained on the indices he would look at before he even thinks of bringing out his arms. There are things that you look at. When you talk of law enforcement, the purpose is arrest. The purpose is apprehension. The purpose is stopping the commission of a crime. And the only instances in law enforcement where you actually use a weapon is self-defense for you as the law enforcement officer, where you think, you reasonably, I underline the word reasonably, suspect that your life is in danger, or the life of another Nigerian is in danger. That is the only place that you use your weapon in law enforcement function. Throughout, we've had different testimonies from people that were involved in this shooting. I do not see how a police officer of 23 years, if really he is trained, will think that situation warranted him to even point a gun, not talk of shoot at it. There are indices, and with due respect, I have been involved in rules of engagement training, specifically for the Nigerian Army. What we tell them, there is what is called excessive force. There is reasonable force. And that when you say use of force, it starts from stop or I shoot. It is what is called escalation of force procedure. It is a force continuum. The actual shooting being at the last. I am talking purely in a law enforcement function. This lady is not armed. This lady is not running away. So I believe a well-trained police officer, so honest, I don't want us to, even though as I call for also the actual, investigation of this case, a very independent investigation, not a cover-up investigation. But I think what we'll find is that we do not give our law enforcement officers or security officers in general enough training on what to decide. Every security officer can shoot. But the question in any instance is, I can shoot, yes, I've been trained to shoot, but should I shoot? Does the situation necessarily warrant me to shoot? There are verbal warnings. There are shooting to kill or to injure is a last resort. That is what I have to say. I think we'll find that we have a problem of training, and we should look beyond this incident.
All right.
The police agencies, the DSS agencies, the civil defense agencies, and the military should all be given proper training of not be mounted. We do not have that training. It is not adequate. That is my point.
Group captain, sir. Some people have suggested that the police should carry stun guns and the rest of them. Where do you stand? Instead of these long rifles designed to kill.
There is the UN basic principle on the use of force for law enforcement agencies, which Nigeria subscribes to. What the situation says is that every government of every country should provide a law of office.
Okay, since we're having issues, as soon as we have a group captain back online, we will have his response to that question.
Yes, because at least is familiar about how those weapons can work. Those weapons can still disable a criminal, but not necessarily take a life.
Exactly.
You know,
if you fire a strong gun at someone, that it's like an electricity shock on that person. The person will fall down. Over time, the person will get up again. You can disarm.
If you want to handcuff the person at that point, you can go ahead and do it. But people in a car just going.
I think we have not had fire. I think it's very important for a thorough investigation to be done, because it begets belief. You know that look, someone was coming from church. They were parking vehicles, and they said you should park, and they had gunshots. What really happened? What led to that? Was there an altercation? Was there anything? What happened? It's very important to know.
Or it could even be
accidental discharge.
Exactly. Many people have died from accidental discharge.
Exactly.
So that's why the issue of inadequate training that he mentioned, it looks really plausible.
Look, when you read, you hear about policemen, soldiers dismantling their gun, coiling it, and coupling it back. Do we even have our men doing that? You see the guns they carry about, rusty looking, dusty, but you don't want to ask them, are you sure this your gun is working?
Have you not heard of a policeman that was hired to give 21 gun salute at a wedding? I'm sure your days editing the newspaper must have read that story, encountered that story. He ended up killing the groom. Yes, he was asked to fire into the air, you know, as part of the physics for the wedding. He ended up killing the groom. It happened in the East. I remember very well.
That was a long...
Will he kill
at all
someone?
Exactly.
Just because you asked to give salute.
To shoot up, not
up. Ended up killing the groom.
This is
See,
sad. But I understand
the training is very important. Training, and then the rule of engagement is very important. How do you relate with the public?
Absolutely. So let's quickly continue with our guest, Group Captain Sadiq. Please go ahead with a question posed earlier on by Babajide.
Yes, thank you very much. Babajide asked me about the issue of non-lethal weapons. Yes, I was saying there is this UN basic principle on the use of force for law enforcement agencies, a short called BPUFF. What it recommends here, maybe what we are requiring is even a government action, not police action. What the BPUFF says is that every country should provide its law enforcement officials with a range of options to carry out their duties. A range of options. Unfortunately, what we have in Nigeria, whether it is soldiers doing IS operation, whether it is police, whether it is SS, we do not have that range of options. Only one option. And what is that option? Is weapon, rifle with live rounds. And like somebody says, with somebody who is only holding a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. So what the BPFF says is that it includes what you are saying about non-lethal weapons. It includes pepper spray. It includes different kind of electronic decapacitators that when a police officer or any officer doing IS operation decides there is even the need to use force, you don't go straight for your weapon. Unless if there's a life-threatening situation for you or another person. If not, that's what I mean by that escalation of force procedure or force continuum. You start with a shout. Then you move with physical stopping. Then you move non-lethal force. Non-lethal force can include this non-lethal weapons you're talking about. It could include pepper spray. It could include, there are visual devices that would even disorientate somebody if he hears. Before you finally think, if all these do not work, then you go to the final. That is in a situation where you have the time. Again, I want us to look in context is very important. I am talking of this context of a woman driving to try and take a U-turn. Let's even assume that area is not allowed for U-turn. I think in this particular circumstances, there is enough, there is enough allowance for the officer of 23 years service to look at the different options he has. It's not an option of a policeman confronting a bandit that is firing at him. It's not a situation of a policeman or a soldier facing a Boko Haram terrorist. No,
Yes.
this is an unarmed woman.
an
The
unarmed
trend I should be
woman,
saying
for
that this
God's
woman
sake.
is driving. In fact, the fact that she is driving means that she cannot even use her hand. Let's
Yes,
not assume she
she
has a
can't use her
pistol.
hand.
All these are supposed to be taken by a well-trained officer. So the issue of non-lethal weapons have been said by the past, even the past IGP, if I remember, but it was never taken forward.
All right, let me hold your
So
thoughts. We
we
need to
should
go
think of
on a
this-
very quick break. Group Captain, apologies there. Let's quickly go on a very quick break. We'll come back and we have our final thoughts on this very issue. Stay with us.
Everyone has a Chivita this season. What's your Chivita?
We will also have been able to launch the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme. This was also done in January 2015. This is a very innovative tool that enables us to use private sector funds to, with those partners, and then recovering their investment over a period of time using tax credits. In this space, we have 33 road projects across the country that have been approved, covering 1,564 kilometers as at the end of 2021. And so far, we've been able to disburse 78.7 billion under the tax credit scheme to the investors. These investors include Dangote, NLNG, MTN, Globacom, and Goa, several investors that have elected roads that have economic impact across the country.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
How important is comfort to you? Is it as important as the day you discovered that self-love is the start of good life? Here is a comfort that your self-love, Iderade. Transit into your serenity. The opportunity awaits you on this peace of mind as you pay in installments of 24 months with initial deposit of 500,000 naira. Serenity at its finest.
Life is self-expression in your own space, in your own way. And when you've got your whole life ahead of you, your style simply becomes your attitude. And at the right time, you step out to bring more of you right into your space. Welcome to the Vento Furniture.
Season's greetings. Think home. Think Vento Furniture.
Welcome back. You're still on to Journalist Hangout, and now we're having our final thoughts on this very matter with regards into the Lagos police shooting recently happened where lawyer Bolanle Rahim was killed. Well, let's have your final thoughts on this, Babajide. Although we're out of time, but you know, from what has been said so far, definitely much more needs to be done in terms of training of the police personnel so that they know how to use weapons whenever the need arises. But then again, the issue of investigation, independent investigation, what can be done to ensure that we know what exactly happened, prevent any reoccurrence?
That investigation is very important. And just as Gukate Sadiq said, it has to be an independent one. Where the room for cover-up will not be there. But our policemen, a number of them are very careless with weapons. We've seen a drunken policeman. He has his rifle beside him. He's drunk.
He slept off.
And he slept off.
Yeah.
You can easily be disarmed by a criminal who will take the gun away. They can even fire.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, without you planning to fire. So no one knows exactly what happened. I don't want to hazard a guess, but we wait for that investigation to happen. And when we talk about justice, what is justice in this sense? when after a few years you see the same policeman walking the streets. You can't bring back the life that he has taken.
Absolutely.
So what constitutes justice? When we talk about, justice.
And your expectations?
Okay, thank you very much. Since we've been having this as a recurring problem, and here emphasize not only for the police, I think all we should have a holistic approach. When the police say they are doing investigation, what I find whenever there is a misdemeanor from our security forces, the service in charge carries out an investigation. But following global practice, when the police is the one under the screen, it will not be proper for the police to carry out investigation. There is the concept of independent investigation. And here I will warn, in Nigeria, unfortunately, we have a tendency to hide the result of investigations. Now, investigation has multiple purposes. It is not only to punish that police officer. It is not to ridicule the police. It's to ensure that we know the immediate and root causes of that incident. Is it something meant? We don't have an they will not get anything out of that investigation.
All right, that's a fine place to leave it. Let me quickly get the final thoughts from Balaji in the studio.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's very important to align with those who are saying there should be a training and retraining of our policemen. Very important. And then how do they relate with the citizens? And apart from that, the citizens should also take it a step further. Sue them. Sue the police. Because it's an offense that has been committed against a family. So go and sue and collect claims from them. But majorly, we need to get them trained. And then we have to look at people we are giving harms to among the policemen. It's very important.
All right, and that's where we leave it on today's edition of Journalist Hangout. I'd like to thank my guests who joined us via Zoom, Group Captain Sadiq Shehu. Thank you so much for your insights so far. And also I'd like to thank my guests in the studio, Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Bolaji Tunji. It's a pleasure to have your thoughts, as always, on the program.
Thank you.
Well, that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us again tomorrow for another interesting edition. You can also watch a repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Many thanks for watching. I am Esther Mapariola. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Struggling with energetic kids and you can't get them to get to sleep? Tried so many things to get them to snooze, but nothing seems to work. ShopX TV is proud to introduce an amazing gift for the kids. Introducing Happy Nappers,